Hello, comrades. Your friendly Apple veteran here, just sharing some of my experience with those interested in American business culture. If you work with Americans in any shape or form, then you might want to stick around for this one. All I need is a few minutes of your time, and I'll share some of the best ways to interact with American clients in today's rapidly changing world. And as I mentioned in my previous videos, and you probably noticed that already, English is the language of business. A lot of times I'm asked, why am I doing these videos in English and not choosing the languages, you're getting a hint as to why, of my target audience? Well, this may sound like I'm about to go off on a tangent, but trust me, for many years, I've been trying to build a sales practice with emphasis on an account management and relationship building, customer success in non-English speaking countries. And I've realized that certain topics, certain words, expressions just cannot be translated. It all reminds me of this interesting story that happened, I think, in the 90s, right? The beginning of the new era, the market economy in Russia. And this is when first McDonald's was open. So as I mentioned, it was early 90s, right? So a lot of people were, well, everybody pretty much were still living in the past, right? Didn't know what to expect, so it was hardly. Plus, there was hardly any food, and people were using food stamps to get just the bare necessities. So McDonald's opens up, and just imagine the line. Right? You can look it up online. The line outside of that first McDonald's, it was like a snake, going around the city center and Kremlin and all that. So the Americans that were obviously the managers sent from the US, they were there for the first time, right? And they couldn't get the greeters that they hired to smile. So, as the legend goes, one of them, the managers, asked the greeter, "Why do you stiff arm your customers? And why are you so cold all the time? Why don't you just smile the next time you greet someone?" Right? Hey, свободная касса, as they say in Russian. Um, to which the greeter, looking pretty unimpressed and uninspired by his new manager, simply answered, "Why would I smile? I work at McDonald's." So, both sad and funny as that is, this story is kind of painting a picture of many years of kind of shaping a certain type of personality, and now being kind of clashing with the modern world. It kind of paints a good picture of the overall business culture, if you will. It still prevails in the region to this day. I know that a lot of companies now are working with Americans, yet the staff, the kind of basis, the foundation is very much of a non-American thinking, right? I mean, how could they be? This is the nurture and nature kind of thing working together. So, you know, I don't want to be generalizing a whole bunch of people, of course, right? I don't want to say that everyone is the same. There's a lot of very open-minded and educated people now in the IT business, in the outsourcing business, if you will, that work in those companies and actually do a really good job with both English, right, and business English specifically, and just the culture of competencies requested and required for a successful relationship with American clients. And so I'm not a fan of generalizing people, just want to get that out of the way. But let me just tell you kind of my own life story, right? To just not go off on a tangent about the Russians, the Belarusians, the Ukrainians, and whatnot. Let me just tell you a little bit about myself and kind of how I got this notion of, speaking well English with my colleagues first of all, right? But then also kind of share some perspective on networking with Americans, right? How to build a network of trusted colleagues, right, and partners in the U.S. So, as you know, been I've moved to the Eastern Europe market and started building a relationship-based marketing and account management approach to the sales teams, local sales teams, and customer success as well. And after first initial months of assuming that I'm simply not yet acquainted enough with local business culture, I had a talk with my development leads, project and delivery managers, about their vision for the end process that would tie up sales and production. And again, speaking for myself here, I first do my best to assess the situation, right, to understand the reality, accept it for what it is, and then start implementing appropriate changes slowly, step by step, right? So, because it's important to work with reality and not with what you think you want to have for both sides. Um, you know, I want to be ready for all kinds of ramifications with this, right? So I want to be ready for risk that I'm taking and the risk that is along the way. And I want to be ready with the sort of real instruments, with the real tools that I'm creating along the way. And so during this talk, my team leads were describing the lay of the land to me, right? They were telling me kind of how things work now and what's the situation. They were stating things that became a tradition at that particular workplace, basically. And that's when it hit me. I realized that nobody was really following the conversation. I'm pretty sure the speakers themselves were pretty confused. And so to a non-native Russian speaker, that may paint a wrong picture. To non-Russian speaker, it would have seemed as they had no idea what they were talking about and were just going off on a tangent. There's a saying that if you can't explain something in simple terms, that means you don't know the subject well enough. Well, knowing Russian language well enough to feel its intricacies, and especially having studied Russian literature in school, I intuitively figured out what was going on. You see, Russian language is very rich and it's a very colorful language. It's a wonderful tool if you wanted to dive deeper into the abyss that is Tolstoy or Dostoevsky's work. In other words, it's a very complex and poetic language. But when you're breaking down the idea of an effective sales funnel or the NPS score and its impact on the long-term ROI, you're better off just using English. Trust me. Again, my own experience, my own perception. It really feels like it was designed and polished for the business environment, for the market economy that is all English speaking, of course. I mean, I would spend hours, guys, hours trying to convey a simple business logic to my resource manager. And then I would hop on a client call with an American and cover all bases in 10-15 minutes. But the biggest revelation to me, however, was that all those native Russian speakers had absolutely no idea they were stuck in this conundrum. So revealing that to those who were genuinely interested was probably the toughest mentoring moment in my career. That's when I started thinking about mentoring and training, that kind of mindset, that perception. And at the end, we all agreed to switch our meetings to English. It was a win for everyone involved, of course, because now every non-speaker, right, non-English speaker, had to dig deeper into the meanings of what they're going to present and talk about and choose their words carefully, and especially with customers. And that's when I first saw an increasingly painful pain point that is business English. And that is why my channel is in English and not, say, Russian, for example. What's funny is that since then, I've been told by multiple people that Vitaly, who speaks Russian, and Vitaly who speaks English are two different Vitalys. So I guess if you're one of those people, you know what I mean, and maybe you can agree, because I definitely feel different. So after all this, I wanted to ask you, how do you network with Americans right now? Do you switch to your English side? Do you have the American side of you to sort of describe your perception? Is it different? Do you feel different when you switch to English? Do you think in English when you talk to Americans? And what do you think about your approach? Is it effective? Has it helped you? Let me know in the comments below, of course. You can reach out to me directly. You know how to get there. And if you have been, I just want to say thank you for watching. If you enjoy these short little videos, my quick storytelling, just let me know in the comments or by doing the thumbs up, right? Subscribing, of course, if you're interested in seeing more of these, or if you think they're kind of interesting to you and useful, hopefully. It takes a second to do that, but to me, it gives a proper feedback, right? That what I'm talking about is actually valuable and has some sort of meaning to at least a single person out there. So please share this video if you liked it, like it, and do all that so that I can understand that this is worth it and worth continuing. And as always, if you have been, thank you for watching.